Hey, this is Dena. Welcome to my dining room. I can't film in the kitchen because it's the size of a shoebox. So today we are going to be remaking the mint chip chocolate cookies. Obviously I had some problems last time. The batter came out a little too dry, and I thought it was because I used too much flour, but I think what I actually did was I didn't use enough butter. So what I'm going to try to do this time is just go with the amount of butter that the original recipe called for before I tweaked it. We'll see when I show you the ingredients, which I'm going to do right now. So 1 whole stick of butter. This is 8 tablespoons. Before I used 5, I'm just gonna use the whole stick of butter because that's what the original recipe called for before I messed with it. 1/2 cup of dark chocolate chips melted, which I've already done. 1 cup of brown sugar. This is not gonna be enough, but I have more. 1/2 teaspoon of salt, which I'm gonna eyeball. 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, which I'm also gonna eyeball. 1 little egg. These are in the wrong order. 1 1/4 cups of flour and about 1/2 cup of cocoa powder. I'm basically taking 1/2 cup out of the amount of flour I originally had, and I'm adding that amount of cocoa powder. 3/4 of a teaspoon of baking powder, and of course the mint chips from nuts.com. Sure you don't want to sponsor me, nuts.com? I think this guy wants you to sponsor me.
Sponsor Dena's channel, seriously, you guys.
I don't know why he talks like Cartman. Okay, so first we are going to cream the butter, the brown sugar, and the melted chocolate chips, which I hope are cool enough. Yeah, they are. They're like room temperature. And this butter should be nice and soft. I actually left it out overnight. I didn't want to chance it this time. Come on, get out of there. Last couple times I got it out first thing in the morning, and that just didn't quite seem to do it. I'm gonna cream the butter for it by itself just for a minute, just to kind of get it all, I don't know, something. Actually, I wanted to get it kind of spread out before I started adding other things to it. So here we go. Here comes the chocolate. Yeah, it really couldn't just be too much flour last time. That just doesn't make sense. I've had cakes come out a little too dry or a little too dense and stuff like that, but I have never had any batter come out all crumbly like that. So it has to have been the butter. I just didn't add enough butter, apparently. That's gotta be it. It can't be the flour. I could see maybe not adding quite enough flour and having it affect the texture a little bit, but not to the extent that I had last time. So I started thinking about that, and I realized the fact that I only used like 5 tablespoons of butter, like just a little more than a stick, and that's really not very much, is it? I'm gonna mix this again just a little bit before I add the brown sugar. I also kind of wonder a little bit if maybe it's because I wonder if the type of chocolate chips I use has anything to do with it. I wouldn't think so. I believe I used semi-sweet when I first tried using chocolate chips instead of some of the cocoa powder. But I don't know, I can't imagine that makes that much difference. You gotta pack down the brown sugar so it can take a bit. It can take a little while to get it all in there and situated. Whoa, is that gonna be too much? No, surprisingly, that stuff can really condense. Let's clean up my mess a little bit. Great. Okay, and now the brown sugar. Now we're gonna cream this until light and fluffy, which is going to take about 5 minutes. Obviously, I will not make you watch all of that. Okay, I just got done beating this for 5 minutes, and you can tell it's kind of a lighter color and there's a little more volume, so we have successfully whipped some air into it. And obviously you want to stop the mixer and scrape the bowl and all that. I don't feel like I need to mention that every time. I think it goes without saying, but you never know. You never know when somebody watching this could be a complete noob. Which is not an insult, it is what it is. Okay, so next we're gonna add the egg. I won't do it again. Once per video is enough. So the recipe says to add them gradually because originally this was doubled and there were 2 eggs. So it says to add the eggs and vanilla gradually. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna add 1 egg. I won't say it, but you can tell I'm thinking it. And then I'll mix it and then I will add the vanilla. You can't really gradually add a single egg. Every time I make one of these videos, I think about that beater blade that Gretchen had. I need to ask her about that. So this isn't completely mixed, but I'm gonna go ahead and add the vanilla. Oops. Once again, I'm just gonna eyeball it. That's probably roughly a teaspoon. And we're gonna make sure this is mixed really well before we add the dry ingredients. Okay, so now I'm just making sure that everything is mixed well. It looks like it is. I wish I didn't have to take off the beater blade. I suppose I could pull the bowl out from under it instead, but okay, so now we're going to sift the flour, baking soda, and salt together and add all at once. So flour, I'm going to use this kind of measuring cup this time. I feel like it might work better. Of course, I'm probably going to get flour all over the place. So I'm trying to fluff up the flour really good and not get too much in there. Oh, okay. I feel like that's about a cup. So for the 1/4 cup, I know it seems like it defeats the purpose that I'm doing it over the bowl, but I don't think very much is going to spill in there. That's maybe a tiny bit too much. There we go. That's 1 1/4 cups of flour. And of course the cocoa, which was, I believe I said 1/2 cup? Yeah, 1/2 cup. You don't have to worry about the cocoa. It's not as finicky as the flour. So another issue I noticed when I was eating some of the cookies I made last time was I noticed the mint really kind of overpowered the chocolate to the point where, I mean, you could taste the chocolate, but just seemed like it could have been a lot more chocolatey. So that just gave me more inspiration to try using the cocoa powder and melted chocolate. So baking soda, and I think I needed, or baking powder, whoops. The list of ingredients says baking powder and the directions say baking soda, whoops. I think you can use either. One of them gets you a crisper cookie than the other does. Okay, so once again, I kind of eyeball this because 3/4 of a cup is pretty damn, I mean, 3/4 of a teaspoon is pretty close to a teaspoon, so. And salt, what did it say? 1/2 teaspoon of salt. I think that's probably roughly 1/2 teaspoon. It might be a tiny bit more, but Okay, now we just sift this in there. Oh my God, flour everywhere. God damn it. That just never gets old. I got some on the handle of that somehow. So now we're going to mix this until almost combined, because we don't want it to be overmixed when we add the chips. So, and oh boy, let me try to avoid the flour cloud as much as possible. No, no, nope, nah. Flour and cocoa powder everywhere. Okay, that's more like it. And in fact, that's about as mixed as it needs to be already. I didn't think it would be, but yeah, kind of close to over mixing it actually. But yeah, this batter, this dough is much, you notice it's not in little crumbles, it's still kind of soft. I think I'm going to be mixing in the chips by hand. I'm worried about this dough getting over mixed. I didn't realize it was already mixed. Okay, so I cleaned up a little bit in between takes, but now I am ready to add these mint chips. So let's just see how much is left. I'm pretty sure it's going to be more than a cup, but probably not a lot more. Whoa, yeah, there's that much left. So in the future, maybe I'll put fewer of them on the cookies of the first batch so I can stretch this out a little more. So we're just going to add that. There's just chocolate everywhere. Whoops. Okay, I'm also scraping the sides of this because there's still some unmixed flour and chocolate. Ugh. That sure looks like a lot of chips. Yeah, this dough is stiff, but it's not dried out like it was last time. I think it's supposed to be a little bit stiff. I mean, you are supposed to roll it into balls, so I think the dough came out better this time. And this this spatula gives a little too easily to be able to use here. Wait, I have a big spoon I want to use. Yeah, this spatula gives a little too much, and this dough is a little too stiff for it. So switching to a spoon, I'll try to, I really wish I'd done this on the mixer. It's a much easier way to distribute the chips a little more evenly. Yes, this is some very stiff dough, but it's not dry like last time, so I think I may have hit the jackpot here. God, I hope so. Jeez, that's hard to mix. Well, okay, I think I've about got it. I'll get the rest of it with my hands as I'm rolling the balls, which is the next step. Okay, hi. Now it's time to roll this dough into some little balls, and oh my God, this is so much better. You notice it's not falling apart in my hands this time. Good Lord, I can't believe how badly I messed this up last time. But yeah. Once again, what I like to do is I will roll out all of these balls, and whatever I don't bake immediately, these are not all going to be the same size probably. Whatever I don't bake immediately, I will put in the freezer, and then each time I want to make a small batch of cookies, like if I want to have a couple of cookies after dinner, I'll just bake that many. And then you have nice warm cookies right out of the oven every time, rather than baking a whole big old batch of them and they, you know, cool off, and they're so nice right out of the oven. You need to give them a little time to set is all. You don't want them too hot. Plus, you know, you don't want to burn yourself too. Yeah, if you try to pick up a cookie right after it comes out of the oven, not only will it burn you, but it'll fall apart. They need a little time to set after they've come out of the oven. They don't need to be completely cool. They can still be a little warm, and that's the sweet spot for me. I like to eat them when they're a little bit warm. I don't know if these chips are very well distributed. Whoops. Okay, well, you don't need to really see any more of this. I'm going to pop these in the oven, and once they have, well, actually, I'm going to put these in the fridge for a little while because I prefer to have them cold before I bake them. So I will put these in the fridge. They spread less if they're cold. That's why I like to keep them in the freezer. So anyway, I'm going to put these in the fridge for a while, maybe even the freezer. I haven't decided yet. But in any case, I'm going to get them very, very cold, and then I will pop them in the oven. And once they are out and cooled, I will show you how they turned out. And I think they're going to come out better this time. Also, I'm not getting chocolate all over my hands, so that's nice. That was an issue before. That was why I liked using the chocolate chips instead of the cocoa powder. But I can use both and still not get brown gunk all over my hands. So, like I said, I will put these in either the fridge or the freezer, and then they will go in the oven. And then after they're all baked and cooled enough that I can eat them, I will show you the finished product and I will taste it, and hopefully they will be amazing. See you in a minute. Okay, they are done. They have been in the oven, and I ended up putting them in the freezer for about 30 minutes. And then they went in the oven for about 18. I was gonna go with 15, but they didn't seem like maybe they were quite done. So it was 18 in all. God, I can smell the mint. They smell so good. And then I let them cool for 15 minutes. That's usually a pretty good time. In fact, usually I'll bake them for 15 minutes and then let them cool for 15 minutes. So it takes 30 minutes in all to bake these. And they look good. I think maybe I rolled them a little too small, or they didn't spread out as much as I thought. So they look a little small, a little small and a little round. Also, I ran out of chips while doing this, so this one only has one on it. So I guess this is the one I'll taste. Oh my God, it smells so good. Okay, so let's just see how these turned out. Fell apart in my mouth. Oh my God, so good. Oh yeah, having a combination of cocoa powder and melted chocolate is the key here. That made a big difference. And yeah, the mint is not as overpowering as it was. I was worried I'd have to use less chips, but that does not seem to be the case. I have fixed that problem. I may have overbaked these. They're not quite as soft as I would like, but yeah, this I think I finally nailed this recipe. Make sure I got it. I'll have to make sure I've got it written down properly, and I will put it in the comment section this time. I didn't bother doing that last time since it didn't turn out so well. But yeah, it has got the right amount of chocolate now. So like I said, these mint chips, unfortunately, are a little pricey. I'll repeat what I said in the last video in case maybe people want to just watch this one instead of watching the previous one where it got kind of messed up in the end. Honestly though, after I added water to the dough, it did turn out okay. So if you ever have that happen, just add a little water to the dough. Don't think you totally failed just because the dough is a little dry. Just add a little bit of water, but be careful. But anyway, yeah, technically that recipe did not turn out well. So in case people want to just watch this one instead of watching that one as well. So cheaper alternatives for the mint chips. I normally make these around the holidays, and when I first made them, it took me a little while to figure out where to get mint chips from. I used those peppermint, actually I think they They're peppermint Hershey's Kisses that have little tiny bits of candy canes in them. Those are really good. You'll want to be careful not to use too many of those because they are very strong tasting. But you know, I just take them and I chop them up. It's really tedious because you have to unwrap every single one and chop them all up to about this size. But I suppose what you could do is just make the cookie balls and then cook them and then put like a Hershey's Kiss on top. But I feel like that wouldn't have quite the same effect. I want a kind of chocolate chip cookie kind of effect, but just with the flavors kind of switched around. That's what I was going for with this idea. So you can use those, or you could use like after dinner mints like Andy's. The problem is those also have chocolate in them, so you're not going to get as strong of a mint flavor. I suppose you could maybe try to use more to balance it out, but I don't know. I don't know how that would work really. I did use those once, and yeah, the mint wasn't as pronounced as it normally would be. One thing you should not try, and I hope I can dig up a picture of this disaster. I had what I thought was a really cool idea last year. I thought it'd be cool to take, not put anything in the cookie dough, just have this, chocolate cookie dough. And I was wrapping it around those little peppermint patties, so that you would have the idea is that you would have this chocolate cookie that was all filled with peppermint. I thought that was a great idea, but I don't know, the stuff that's inside those peppermint patties, it kind of boils and makes the cookies explode. So it did not turn out well. Do not try that. The only way I could get it to work was to only bake the cookies for like 5 minutes, and it was basically still raw. Unfortunately, most of the other substitutes I can think of are holiday candy, so it kind of limits you a little bit. One thing you could maybe do is crush up some candy canes and mix those in with the dough. For me, I think that would be a little too crunchy. I'd be worried about hurting my teeth on those. Maybe if you crush them up very fine, but I don't know. I don't know how that would work. One thing I considered was those little soft peppermint candies that come out during the holidays. They're soft when you bite into them. I wonder if maybe you could chop those up and use those instead of the chips. I don't know, but I have not tried it, so I cannot vouch for that. Feel free to give it a shot if you think it might be a good idea. So I guess that's about it. I have finally perfected my mint chip chocolate cookie recipe. So yeah, feel free to try it if you can find the chips. Like I said, I get mine from nuts.com. They are a little pricey. I personally think it's worth it to be able to make these once in a while, but you can't make these a lot, obviously. So yeah, let me know if you end up trying these, and I guess that's it for now, and I'll see you next time.